All right, hey everybody, it's T, and I'm back with a new video. It's on JasonBlaha, broski. That's right. All right, let's see what the gym lifting slave has to say today.
Hey everybody, it's Jay.
Oh, hold on a second. Let's see what this is about first. Influencers overcomplicate muscle growth. Okay, so influencers. Okay. JasonBlaha says influencers overcomplicate muscle growth. That's what he's doing. Isn't that what he's doing in his channel? He's giving out misinformation to complicate muscle growth so he could get you, so he could recruit you as a lifting gym slave. Yeah.
JasonBlaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something that really needs to be said.
And what's that?
I will be the first to admit I like to discuss the science.
And what's that, Jason?
I like to discuss things like movement patterns, range of motion, lengthened positions, but what we have to remember at the end of the day, a lot of influencers will massively overcomplicate this for the average lifter. Okay, a lot of these topics, when we're talking about this, we're oftentimes talking about getting to those deep muscle fibers, getting that last few percent for really advanced lifters, right? Really advanced lifters.
The last deep muscle fibers for advanced lifters? What is he going on about?
People who have 5+ years of really consistent, continual arm training. Okay, that's you.
5+ years of consistent arm training. Why do you need to keep training your arms? I know, because you didn't grow any myofibular, so you don't have any natural strength. So you have to keep training it so it can what? Be good at doing those lifts. Chemical strength. Yes. Hooray.
Really what we're talking about. We're not talking about someone who's in their first couple years, someone who still has a little noob gains or any of that. We're not talking about the average person going to the gym.
Oh, we're not talking about the average person going to the gym. Isn't the majority of people that go to gyms average?
At the end of the day, a lot of these are things that you don't need to worry about. Okay, things like trying to squeeze a muscle or hit this perfect angle. If anything, I see people, one of the biggest mistakes I even see are people trying to control eccentric so much that they lose range of motion. Okay.
I gotta tell you the truth, man. I don't really give a shit about range of motion. I don't care about range of motion. I don't care how I look like in the gym when I'm lifting. I don't care about anything. Nobody says anything to me. Sometimes my exercises, the movements may look strange to them because on the lat pull down, like sometimes I'll just have my lats try to pull it backward, like pull it down. I'm not using, my arms are just extended. I'm not using my elbows to pull it down to my lats. I do all kinds of different movements. They don't look, to them, they may not look appropriate. The problem is they don't know what they're doing. I'm very particular as to what I'm trying to work in that motion, what I'm trying to hit, and how much damage I'm trying to get in that muscle fiber so I could get it to grow bigger, better, stronger, and faster. Yeah. It's complicated, man. The only thing that matters in this world is results. Nobody cares. Nobody ever sees what you do in a gym. That's why gyms are not for competitions. I'll tell you, when you walk in the street, nobody knows how you got there so big and jacked and strong when you walk down the street. They didn't see what you were doing in the gym. All they see is the finished product. Nobody sees how people build that Ferrari in the factory. It looks crude. It looks nasty when they build it in there. But when that Ferrari rolls out down the street, that's all they see is that Ferrari. They didn't see the process it went through. You understand me? It went through a grueling process.
I think that's a problem. And I'm saying this as someone who's, again, almost 50 years old, over 2.5 decades in the iron game, having to rebuild after spending a year in bed sick, all sorts of stuff, who coaches.
He always talks about this. He was in bed for a year sick or something, had to rebuild. What's a year? Nothing. Man, when COVID came around, I took 3 years off. What the fuck? And even when I reached my goal, when I built my body back in, like, what was it, the end of the 90s, I stopped. That's it. I reached my goal. I didn't lift a weight for a decade. So I don't know what he's mumbling about. Yet I still look like a bodybuilder when I walk around.
Time. people overcomplicate these things, particularly when it comes to muscle.
Look, I look better than your coach. I didn't age myself. Accelerated aging. I'm aware of these things. I've even had physical jobs. I was aware they could age me. They deteriorate you. So you're deteriorating faster than you're aging. Your number in numbers, you're aging. Yeah, you're deteriorating faster than you're aging in number. I'm not joking, man.
Growth. Really, with muscle growth, the questions you need to be asking are you working the muscles through a reasonable range of motion?
He's not. He's adapted. Your coach, listen to me really carefully. Your coach is a chronic lifter, and there's no more adaptations because it's an adaptation process. The repeated bout effect, when it kicks in, it's a protective effect against muscle from being damaged. Now, people are going to write me on my channel. You get some crazy people telling me like, there's more than one way to get hypertrophy than through muscle damage. I never said there wasn't. Hypertrophy just means something's getting bigger, dude. That Arlesia guy, whatever, keeps writing me, that maniac. Listen, dude, I've said it before. There's more than one way to get hypertrophy. There's many ways. There's inflammaging. There's lactic acid buildup. There's blood flow restriction. There's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, glycogen loading. There's creatine, which you could take creatine product. It'll load water for you in your muscles if you enjoy that. You could drink gallons of milk and load water in your muscles. That will hypertrophy your muscles. You can beat them with a hammer. They'll get bruised and they'll hypertrophy. You can eat toxic food, hypertrophies your muscle. Toxicity hypertrophies muscle. Oxalates can hypertrophy muscle. Protein synthesis exceed breakdown can hypertrophy muscles. What else? Hyperplasia can hypertrophy muscles by getting more muscle fibers, nuclei, muscle fibers, muscle fiber growth. So there's many ways to hypertrophy a muscle, but there's only one way to build myofibrillar growth, and that is through muscle damage. If you want to build myofibrillar growth, you damage muscles. You go through that pain. No pain, no gain. Now, if you want to get sarcoplasmic muscles, then you could chronically lift, and as long as glycogen synthesis exceeds that breakdown, you will load those phony muscles. You will create those phony glyco muscles that you all love out there, looking big and jacked and massive, but you're not going to be strong. That's the difference, okay? It's not associated. It's not associated with strength, okay? Your coach, he never built any muscle. He reached his newbie gains decades ago, but he doesn't understand the process of what builds muscle because he's a pussy. He doesn't like to go through the motions of repairing and remodeling, eating, and the damage part, reduce force capacities, restriction, movement, and all that, and a whole bunch of things, DOMs and all this kind of stuff. He doesn't like to go through the pain of building muscle, so he just pretend build muscles. They pretend people. They take injections, powders, this, that, his whole stack, and then chronically lifting, inflaming his muscles, pretending again that they got big by chronically inflaming his muscles.
Now, again, I think we should probably put a little more focus on the stretched or lengthened positions, again, according to the research, but it's not going to be a complete game changer for you. It's really not. And anyone who's telling you that is not being honest with you. Again, chasing that last 5% or 10% of your time.
Notice how he just throws the weight up. He never focuses on the eccentric part. Why? Because he doesn't like muscle damage. He probably figured it out that, the eccentric part causes damage to the myofibrillar. I need to escape that, so I need to throw the weight up and down in the air so I don't get any eccentric movement. Why doesn't he lower it slowly to get the eccentric movement out of the concentric? Concentric is not associated with muscle damage. So what exactly is he doing here by throwing a weight up and down in the air? He's getting better at throwing weights up and down in the air. You understand me? That doesn't make you stronger. What makes you stronger is myofibrillar growth. You understand me? What makes you stronger is myofibrillar growth. If you're not building myofibrillar growth, you're getting weaker. Remember, after around the age of 25, 30, you are losing muscle. Muscle is already, you're not growing anymore. So your muscle is starting to go down. You're starting to age and go downhill. So that is associated, age is associated with the loss of muscle mass over time. You're losing it slowly. So what should your goal be? What should your goal be? Lift a heavy weight in the gym, get good at lifting heavy weights? Or should you try to get massively jacked and super strong so that as you get older, you have natural strength that you can fall back on? You understand me? When you reach the seventh part, I think it's the seventh, they say, you're completely gone. You're completely gone. My friend is already reaching the seventh decade of his life, and he just I should take a photo or something and show you guys. He's so diminished, so sarcopenia'd. He's such a lazy person in the gym when he lifts. He's so lazy. I try to put him through some routines. That's the only time he'll do it, and he's still lazy, too lazy to do stuff. He just wants to do some stupid flies, this, that, whatever, and run away. He comes into the gym. I don't even know why he comes there. So like I said, this guy too is it's what I call lazy lifters. These people are lazy. That's why they don't get anywhere. Ronnie Coleman, he may have taken drugs, but he wasn't lazy. He worked super hard to beat everybody. That's what he said. He said, I didn't come here to play games. I came here to destroy people. And he did. He came in there and he destroyed the competition, man.
Total possible gains as an advanced lifter, yes. All right. But if you're over here struggling to bench 200 pounds for 4 or 5 reps, you know, a 300-pound squat for 4 or 5 reps is still your all-out limit. You know, if you're in that category, probably not. It's probably not going to be a deal breaker for you, any of that stuff. Are you taking muscles through a reasonable range of motion? Okay? Hopefully getting close to the lengthened or stretched positions, or at least hitting them. Right? Are you performing quality sets? Quality sets meaning decent form to where you are actually working the muscles that you want to work, right?
And for what purpose are you working it in this decent form? Are you doing decent form to work the muscles? And why do you need to work them? So they can age?
So, you know, on bench press, are you gripping it wide enough? Are you not bouncing it off your chest? Are you, again, getting tension on the pectorals, particularly in the bottom half of the exercise, right? Things like that. So with curls, are you actually using the biceps, or are you just doing a half rep and then, unloading it to the top by curling, doing a wrist curl to the top, or are you actually working the bicep?
When is coach, through
a...
That was 1 rep. When is coach ever going to rep like 10 reps on the bench press? When is he ever going to do like 10 reps for his chest? That's why he has no chest. 1 rep is not going to damage the chest. It's not going to damage the chest, bro, to grow it bigger and stronger. All these lifts are just useless. They're just useless lifts going nowhere. Wasting time. That's why he's not getting anywhere. Again, look, weightlifting can be used as a regenerative tool to regenerate yourself bigger and younger and stronger, bigger and younger as well. You can become younger by getting the progenitor cell to increase in number. But if you don't, like I said, it's highly protected. The muscle damage, the progenitor cell, and the myostatin hormone, and all these other things that are in there, it's so highly protected. One protects the other. Now, if myostatin is lower, there's much more a chance of you damaging muscle fibers if the myostatin hormone is lowered. There are many ways to lower the myostatin hormone, and I know one of them is definitely if you're in an anabolic growth state. If you're in an anabolic growth state eating food, you're able to how should I put it? You're able to lift heavier, you'll be stronger, and you'll be able to suppress the myostatin hormone when the progenitor cell is activated through muscle damage. Anytime the progenitor cell, the satellite cell, is activated through muscle damage, it suppresses the myostatin hormone. It'll suppress the myostatin hormone during that time. But if you truly want to suppress the catabolic hormone, so you can build up more contractile proteins and repair and remodel those muscle fibers, then protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. You need to be in an anabolic growth state so that your nitrogen balance is even. So what happens is it shuts off the catabolic hormone. The catabolic hormone converts to an androgen, so it doesn't have to compete with the myocytic androgen receptor. Now, like some guy tried to question me on this, that, about strength. The myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength but not the mass of the limb muscles. An androgen receptor doesn't control the mass, but a hormone can bind with the androgen receptor, you understand me, like testosterone, and aid and help with protein synthesis. You understand me? But what controls the mass? What controls the mass? Well, catabolic hormone controls it, follistatin controls it, myostatin, follistatin, catabolic hormone controls that mass. You could say there's other factors. Eating will control that mass as well. I would say that one of the biggest is eating. If protein synthesis exceeds that breakdown, then you'll see that mass on that myofibrillar. But if you do not exceed that breakdown, you will not see that mass. Meaning an exceeding of a breakdown means you need to shut off that breakdown, that catabolic hormone, which is causing this build up and breakdown. You need to shut off the breakdown so you can keep building up.
Reasonable range of motion, right? Actually getting the elbow pretty close to lockout, so on and so forth. Are we doing these things? Are you taking those sets really close to failure? I'm not even saying they have to be to failure. They don't have to be to failure. Are we getting within a rep or two of failure on the majority of our sets? Okay? Are we doing enough sets but not getting excessive with our volumes? Because
okay, and what is the point of this? I need to go to failure or volume of the sets. So what is the purpose of that? You're adapted. You're not getting any more adaptations.
again, this volume goes
How is this going to help you if you're adapted to everything? What is this going to do? Nothing.
up. Sometimes overuse occurs. Sometimes inflammation occurs. Sometimes we get really lazy with our training. So, or we keep
Inflammation, lazy with your training. Coach Blaha is the laziest person that I know. Yeah, he's the laziest lifter that I know.
our
Do not waste hours on.
we get really lazy with our training. So, are we keeping our volumes reasonable? What's reasonable? Around 10 sets, 10 to 12 sets. I would say as high as 20. If you're training really, really, really hard.
Well, if you're really strong, let's say you're lifting a super heavy weight. If you can lift a super heavy weight, why wouldn't you go to 20, maybe even 30 or 40? Sometimes I could go up to 60, sometimes 80, depends. I can climb extremely high in repetitions, very high, providing I try to do it when it's a really heavy weight. That way I could destroy more of these muscle fibers. That is my goal. You have to have a goal when you go in the gym. I don't know what Coach Blaha's goal is to accelerate aging. My goal if you have a goal to damage muscle fibers, then when you come in on that week, that's your goal, to damage as many muscle fibers as you can. Then the rest of the week, your goal is to repair and remodel them. Your goal is to eat as much as you can to be in an anabolic growth state to grow those muscles so there's no interference. You understand me? By any of these like follistatin, myostatin hormones or fucking catabolic hormone, it's not interfering. If you don't want interference by them, then shut them off. How do you do that? Anabolic growth state. You understand me? Okay. How do you damage muscles? It's really simple. Providing they're unaccustomed when you go into the gym and your muscles are unaccustomed to doing any of these, especially eccentric movements. Now, those eccentric movements, you can use the concentric, but on the eccentric, you should move slowly. You can throw the weight up in the air if that's what you want to do in the concentric, but on the way down, you use extreme. How should I put it? The speed should be very slow. You understand me? So you should control the weight so it doesn't drop. and then you throw it up again. You waste the movement.
Low as 6 to 8. So that's per muscle group, but I will add the caveat, you better be training really hard down there.
Here's the thing. I can't tell you why when you come in, if you do bro splits, you can't damage muscles they don't damage on bro splits. I can't explain that, why that's not going to happen. But I can tell you, for some reason, when you do full upper body on that day, you're going to get damaged. I equate that as being an overworking of an untrained muscle. I just call it that. It's an overtraining of an untrained muscle. And you focus a lot on the eccentric. You need to visualize and see yourself doing a majority of eccentric exercises because they're associated with muscle damage. The concentric is not associated with muscle damage. So when you look at the big four, you need to figure out which one is going to cause me the most damage. That's why a lot of people, they don't do deadlifts. They figured it out that deadlift does not cause muscle damage. It's almost a pure concentric exercise. And then the OHP as well. The OHP, you're just bouncing it off your chest and throwing it up in the air. Like these Olympic lifters, they just throw weights up and down in the air. It's not associated with muscle damage. But you're gonna say, oh, some of these Olympic lifters, they're kind of jacked and stuff. No, they're not jacked. They're taking steroids. So the steroid that's a byproduct of steroids. They're jacked with sarcoplasmic fluid. That's about it. It's a byproduct when you move weight around. You're gonna get pumped. You're gonna get pumped, and that pump is glycogen because they can't stop eating glycogen. Look, try to build muscle in a gym eating protein. You're not building anything, just eating protein. Why is that? Because muscles don't build in gyms. Hello, they damage and then they build. Get it? But once you start eating carbohydrates, notice how when your pumps start to go up in the gym, your pumps, you get pumped, and then you get more glycogen in your muscle. Then you start looking like you're jacked. You're jacked, but you didn't get physically stronger. Or you got like, but my lifts got better. Yeah, your lifts got better, but you didn't get physically stronger.
We better be over to like 0 reps in reserve on your sets, especially if you're going to do 6, and you better be picking good exercises, right? But that can be done, and people can make really good gains doing it, and they have made good gains doing it. Okay? So, sufficient.
See, throw it up in the air. Throw it up in the air. Does that look like does you think your back is getting damaged doing that, throwing it up and down in the air like a yo-yo?
Training volume with sufficient work intensity through sufficient ranges of motion. Okay, are we doing all that? Are we getting enough rest? Are we getting enough recovery? Okay, that's a kind of a big deal, particularly for muscle growth. It can be useful. Muscle growth may slow down if we're not getting enough time between workouts even. Are you trying to pound away 6, 7
Muscle growth may slow down, yes.
days a week? You better kind of know what you're doing if you do that. I don't think the majority of you should be doing that. For most people, back over to you're not a really advanced lifter chasing that last 1%. 3, 4 really good training sessions a week should be more than enough to maximize, at least 90% of your possible gains. At least 90%. Going back over to those volumes I recommended, the intensities I recommended, that many days, you're probably in a good place. Is your nutrition sufficient? Are you eating sufficient protein? Do you have any glaring deficiencies in your diet?
I think fish is really good, like sardines in these cans. They sell sardines in cans, mackerel, whatever. Fish is really great. I mean, as a muscle builder and collagen and stuff like that, increased collagen. Fish is amazing, bro. Like seafood is just amazing for you, man. You'd be surprised. I like shellfish a lot. I think shellfish are just amazing. Bears eat a lot of shellfish. They eat fish and they eat shellfish. And look at them. They're fucking...
Are your calories high enough?
Yeah, so like I said, these, bears eat fish and they just look massively big and strong. So there must be something there to it. You need a lot of fat to build muscle, definitely. But like I said, you're not damaging muscle, so what's the point, right? Who really cares?
To support building new tissue. I'm not saying you even always have to be in a...
You did build muscles when you first came in. You were unaccustomed to doing those exercises. You were untrained, unaccustomed, unfamiliar. And bam, you got a progenitor cell, you got some damage, and then, you ate and you got some hypertrophy. And you all call it newbie gains. And then after that, there's no more gains. Other than these sarcoplasmic gains.
Surplus.
That's really sad, isn't it?
But unless you're really a noob with a fair amount of body fat, if you're in a deficit, you're probably not going to gain much muscle. You may not gain any muscle. You may even lose a little. So, you close to maintenance calories or maybe in a small surplus, sufficient protein, sufficient carbohydrates to fuel your training, right? These things. Any major vitamin or mineral deficiencies, have they been addressed? Okay? And I don't mean with supplements, because that's probably not going to help you. I mean with food. And again, I'm not saying it has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. No glaring weaknesses in the diet. Okay? Are you getting sufficient sleep? Right? If you were doing all these things, for the majority of you out there,
I wonder, does he ever take his own advice? Because it does seem to be working for him.
other stuff that we're talking about, are you doing a preacher curl into a lengthened position? Okay. Is the leg press you're doing putting that quad into the deepest stretch possible? How much are you controlling?
Okay, let's say you put that quad in the deepest stretches possible. Okay. Did you do enough stretches to cause it to damage though? Even though you put it in the stretch position a couple times. But did you do enough stretches to get the muscle fiber to micro tear? You have to do several stretches now. Remember, it's resilient now that you come in. Remember, your muscle calibrates itself to get stronger by damaging it when you first came in the gym as a newbie gain. And so now it's resilient from getting damaged. That's the whole point. Muscle is adapted now. It's a protective effect, so it doesn't get damaged. You understand me? And so because it doesn't get damaged, these people are discouraged. So what do? I gotta get better. I gotta get better at getting stronger, at getting better at these lifts, so I can get stronger at these lifts. But they totally left out the equation. Muscle. They didn't build any muscle, bro. Get it? What's the point of going to the gym? I thought the gym was to build muscle so you could get big and strong.
The eccentric rep. Okay, all of these sort of questions, things like trying to align muscle fibers with lines of pull, and I think that's complete nonsense. All right.
It's unfortunate. I look around the gym sometime and I look at these people. I know what they're doing. What they're doing is wrong, and I just observe them, and they're just what they're doing is wrong. They don't know. They don't even know the difference between one hypertrophy, the other, sarco and myo. They don't know the difference in any of these things, man. They don't know anything. They just go in there and some lift light, some lift heavy, some do this, do that. They do all these weird things. And a lot of their workouts is lazy. It's very lazy workouts. And then they're not getting any results. And then I look at people that are getting results, some people that appear to have results or better results. And I watch what they're doing, and I just observe people what they're doing really in the gym sometimes just to see.
All this other stuff contributes very, very little. And I'm not saying not at all. The other things are what are important. 95% of your gains will come from the other things. And if you were not making gains at all, I promise you it has nothing to do with these other complex factors. I guarantee.
You're not making gains, coach, so what does it have to do with not these complex things? What does it have to do? Why aren't you getting gains then?
You, almost beyond a reasonable doubt, that you are not addressing one of the other points that I made. You are not training hard enough on sets, quality sets, not doing enough range of motion, your volume's not in an ideal range, which is pretty large. Maybe you're not getting it.
No, that's not why. It's because all of you people are adapted, because chronic lifting is not associated with muscle damage. Man, you want to know what's associated with muscle damage? Again, You want to know what is associated with muscle damage? It's really simple. Unaccustomed eccentric exercise is known to cause what? Widespread muscle damage. It doesn't say that chronic lifting is associated with muscle damage. Now, which exercise is associated with muscle damage? An absolute norm in eccentric exercise is the so-called repeated bout effect. Yeah, I know that. Which manifests as a what? Gradual reduction in muscle damage after repeated eccentric exercise sessions, because you're stronger now. You got stronger. Yeah, but you equate stronger with lifting a heavy weight. So you're kind of not understanding that. They tell you that muscle damage and inflammation after eccentric exercise can be repeated. Can it be repeated? It can. What type of exercise causes the most muscle damage? Well, let's see. Which one causes the most? Oh, high intensity eccentric exercise causes what? The most damage. Are you doing those? I don't know. Like I said, your coach should know these things already. Oh, see, this is the section, the conclusion. That's where they took it from. That's why they put it there at the top all the time, right? Yeah, muscle damage and the improvements in muscle strength. So the initial eccentric exercise session, indeed, muscle micro damage. See, the initial eccentric exercise session induced muscle micro damage. That's what it induced. Your session, your initial eccentric session. That's what happened to you guys, and caused disturbances in the muscle performance in both groups. The increase in muscle strength measured as average torque output after 13 weeks of what? Altering repeated episodes of muscle micro damage. After they repeated these sessions of micro damaging their muscles, get it? Using eccentric only or eccentric only repeated bout effect training was similar for both training groups. In other words, they were unaccustomed to doing these exercises. That's how they were able to get out of the repeated bout effect and focusing on eccentric exercises. And they did it for 13 weeks. And they got super strong. Yeah. The comparable increase in muscle strength observed between the two groups is against the notion of muscle damage as being the predominant stimulus for what? Muscle strength. I don't know why people keep thinking that eccentric exercise is the predominant exercise for strength. All of you are absolutely wrong. I may even post this just so you could read it, but a lot of people, they can't understand it. In their brain, their little brain, they just don't get it. But okay, whatever. Let's move on with this.
Enough sleep, there's a dietary deficiency, there's something like that. Those other basic simple things will constitute 90 to 95%.
I'll tell you this much, okay? Nobody, and I mean nobody, like on my old channel, I was doing experiments, okay? I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't film myself doing my most heaviest lifts and all that. But I'll tell you this much. Even when I first built my body to about 285, I gotta tell you, I was the strongest, most jacked dude in that gym. That was not on steroids. And even now, in my old age, I'm the most jacked. Sorry about that, I got cut off. So what I wanted to say is, in the gym that I go to now, I'm pretty much the biggest and the strongest, most jacked guy in the gym, bro. Get it? And I'll get strong, and I'll still get stronger. Can you imagine? I'm in my late 50s, and I'll get stronger because now I started moving towards muscle damage. Okay, I started doing quite a few sessions recently. I started doing some, okay? But I want to get conditioned. So you can't have both. You can't have both. You can only do one. And so, man, I want to get conditioned, so I need to take time out. I want to look good. All right? I don't want to keep looking the way I look. I want to look better. So I got to condition myself for a bit. But then I'll go back to these damaging sessions, and I'll get more jacked and more stronger. That's the whole goal. Plus, I need to put in the time to eating, and I just don't feel it right now. going and eating so much for hours. Okay, I just don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. And if I'm not feeling it, I do what I feel. I do what is best for me. If I feel that is getting conditioned is best for me right now, maybe I should just move towards that for a while. I need a rest. I don't like to batter my body all the time. So that's about it. So when I have the time to focus on eating, when it's all together, when it comes together, I'll damage, repair, remodel, and eat like crazy and get super strong and jacked. You understand me? So in that gym, when I go there, I'm going to be the most jacked and super strong guy that they've ever seen. In my old age, still, I could do it because you can. Because you just are not wanting to do it.
Constitute 90 to 95% of the muscle growth that you get. So if you're not getting that amount, you have missed something major. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today.
I missed something major. Look at your coach here. This is your coach. Look at
It's been informative, and I'll talk to you.
It's not informative, man.
But if you're over here,
I don't know where he's standing here. Let's see him stand up. Look.
Really not. Anyone who's
Here's coach. Here's coach at like 46, 47. And then here's me. Okay. Where am I? Genetic beast. Where am I? I don't even know where I put that video. Here I am, right here.
they brought fear.
So yeah, and I haven't really been lifting the entire year. Just I was doing some damage sessions, coming back and doing a bunch of stuff. Yet I still look better than your coach for a person that doesn't lift. And I'm 10 years older than Coach Blaha. Do my knees look like the skin is like drooping everywhere? Do I look tight or do I look saggy? Do I look like I got saggy old skin, a saggy old dude at 56? Do I look like I'm saggy and old like Coach Blaha at 46? Come on, man. I think it was Coach Blaha, or I don't know who wrote me on my channel. They said to me, "You're not in your late 50s. Man, you're not even 50. Oh, you mean what? I'm 30? Thanks a lot. That was a compliment. When I pinned it, I think he went back there to erase it because he figured, hey, man, I was making him look good. Well, because I pinned his comment. And I can only look better. That's the reason why I want to condition, so I can bring out the whatever, the aesthetic look, you could call it that. I want to bring it out. Okay, that's all, and look much better, and then move on to doing more muscle damaging sessions when I'm more aesthetic, pleasing looking. Like this guy over here in the mirror staring at me because he can't get enough of me. Because look at him, he looks average lifting. The lifting slaves, bro. And look at me, I look like a bodybuilder. Okay. So there you go. I'll see you in the next one, friends. I gotta go. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. It helps. JasonBlaha.
Hey everybody, it's JasonBlaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about
Your favorite coach here. All right, I don't know. I think he was ending that session. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends.